Very good afternoon to all of you. Thiru R.N. Ravi, Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, a man of impeccable credentials and with exemplary track record of public service in various positions. You heard his address. I always believe in positivity, and we will move ahead with that positive approach. We do have sometimes headwinds. Headwinds are momentary. They are transient. They are never lasting. Thiru Dr. Pawan Kumar Singh, Director, Indian Institute of Management, Tiruchi. Am I blocking you? Never block an academician. Thiru R. Kirlosh Kumar, Principal Secretary to Governor of Tamil Nadu. Dignitaries, Vice Chancellors, distinguished audience present in the hall and having access to this discourse through live coverage by Sansad TV. So what is being transacted here is not limited to those present here. It will resonate not only to Vice Chancellors, but to all who are stakeholders in rise of this nation, in improving academic environment in the country. A while ago, we observed silence. I joined the nation in expressing profound grief and outrage at the heinous terrorist attack in Pahalgam that claimed innocent lives. It is a grim reminder that terrorism is a global menace to be addressed by humanity in unison. Bharat is the world's most peace-loving nation, and our civilizational ethos reflected in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is getting global resonance. Our visionary leadership in the shape of a Prime Minister who is in his third term is our greatest assurance that the nation's rise cannot be handicapped by any situations, internal or external. But we all have to bear in mind that national interest is supreme. This was echoed by none else than Dr. B.R. Ambedkar while imparting his final address to the Constituent Assembly. We therefore have to take a resolve to always keep nation first. National interest cannot be intertwined with partisan interest. It has to be uppermost. This cannot be subservient to any interest, political, personal, or for a group. It was with this spirit we observed silence. Distinguished audience, I owe my present position only to education. Was extremely fortunate to get a scholarship and good education. And I therefore realize the importance of education as a great equalizer, one that can cut into inequities, can bring about dignity, can contribute to rise of the nation. And therefore, Honorable Governor, it is an absolute honor and privilege, as also profound responsibility, to share thoughts with those, the Vice-Chancellors, the academicians, the administrators in the field of education, who shape those who are destined to shape our nation. That is our youth. Our youth demographic dividend is envy of the world. It is pulsating. It is contributing. That is making a great difference. I must commend Honorable Governor R.N. Ravi for his very thoughtful initiative taken by him in 2022 to have Conference of Vice Chancellors. The present one is in one such series, one in the series. I have no doubt the deliberations would be very fruitful, because when deliberations take place, dialogue takes place, when there is sharing of thoughts, sharing of problems, resolutions emerge, issues that require to be addressed, we get a way out. But I must commend Governor Ravi for another reason. He is doing this because it is his constitutional ordainment. He has taken oath under the Indian Constitution, under Article 159. His oath, as that of the Honorable President, is very significant. The oath he has taken as governor is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the law. By his oath, he is further enjoined to devote to the service and well-being of people of Tamil Nadu by organizing such events which are extremely relevant to the field of education. Governor Ravi is vindicating his oath. Distinguished audience, education is the most impactful, transformative agent of change. And you all are aware, the only constant is change. And the change must be soothing to society, must be meaningful to society, must give order to the society, respect to every individual. The citizen must pride himself or herself in the system in which he or she lives. We need to nurture our education ecosystem in the backdrop of our historical legacy. Gurukul. The Gurukul concept is sublime. A facet of service to society by Guru. There was free access to those who had earning for knowledge, education. The Guru in Gurukul took everyone under his fold as part of that family. That is our legacy. That calls for revival. No one knows better than the people here and the people listening to me all over the country, and some who will come to know of it through print media and social media. I assert accessibility and affordability of education is vital. But what is more significant in a world that is changing very fast, accessibility and affordability has to be of quality education. Fortunately, in our country, this is emerging as it is national priority. Only quality education system for all can be transformative. The people here and the people watching it are the prime motivators. Time for your category distinguished audience to fire on all cylinders to bring it about. Much needed change in education can gain momentum with proactive affirmative stance of vice chancellors and others who are stakeholders by virtue of being governance, political executive, or bureaucracy. Such conferences and congregations are crucibles of thought, and the thoughts are nurtured here. Policies are evolved. There is purposeful defining of educational goals. Such congregations, brainstorming sessions catalyze the change we all need. I have no hesitation in indicating to you this is a contemporaneous imperative need and essential. We need to focus on it as our supreme priority. These are also occasions for collective reflection, self-audit, soothingly auditing each other, trying to monetize each other's experience. Also, occasions for introspection and then reimagination. To lay a blueprint for future, give direction to education in Bharat that is emerging as a world power. Never have we seen might of Indian Prime Minister being so accoladed, acclaimed by world leaders and countries. Political sagacity within the country and outside has given Indians, Bharatiya, a new respect. We are a nation to reckon with because Bharat stands for peace and welfare of all, growth for all. Such interactions also help us to be in sync with emerging global trends. We can't be an island in ourselves. We have to see what is happening in other parts of the world. And we have also to take notice of global trends and needs. We have to define our trajectory of growth as also of the world which we did centuries ago. I am particularly elated that Tamil Nadu is taking lead in this matter. Tamil Nadu is a land of vibrant learning centers. Those learning centers must be our North Star now. Tamil Nadu has been home to such widely accoladed learning centers like Kanchipuram and Aniyaram. Aniyaram attracted thousands of students from all over Bharat. I see in these conferences emergence of crucibles of ideation that will rekindle the spirit of Kanchipuram and bring back glory of Aniyaram. We must take pride that it was in Tamil Nadu, Madras University established in 1857. Modern education was exemplified in this land. And the university then and now has leadership in science, law, liberal education, and is reckoned as a prestigious institution throughout the country. Distinguished audience, research and development is now quintessential to progress. We can no longer depend to gain from research elsewhere. We have to be on our own strength. Our educational institutions, particularly universities, IIMs, IITs, institutes of excellence in science and otherwise, have to be laboratories of research and innovation. Our institutions must transform themselves from credential outfits into crucibles of innovation and character. We cannot reduce our institutions just to hand out degrees. A degree from a university must be a potent power in the hand of the degree holder that can help him or her fully exploit his or her potential, realize what is talent and ambitions. I must express my one concern to this very distinguished audience. Research must correlate to much needed solutions. Research must be authentic, not surface scratching or assimilation. You understand much better than I do. Research for the sake of research is no research. A research paper must magnetically attract others as a solution provider. Research must be beyond self. For leapfrogging to the education that our future generations would require, we would have a larger convergence of thought leaders, all stakeholders. This conference is a step in the right direction. Those present and those not present, all are gainers. Compulsive system sometimes comes in the way, but as I indicated, it is momentary. I cannot visualize anyone in the country whose heart does not pulsate for national growth. I have no doubt the benefits will be there. And therefore, Honorable Governor, this conference, the series you started in 2022, is a well-taken step in the right direction, a sense of gratitude to Honorable Governor's farsightedness. At the heart of India's great institutions in the past, we had visionary leaders, what we call modern vice chancellors. The vice chancellors of today are enormously talented. Mark my words. They are no less visionaries. They are giving everything which they can. They might face uphill task, difficult terrain, or air pockets. But I believe in their power to transform. They are worthy academicians who have capacity to bring about results. They represent and epitomize the Kulpatis we had once. I urge everyone in governance at the center and at the state to believe in the institution of Vice Chancellor and ensure they have play in the joints and can perform undeterred by ordinary situations. Today, not only Bharat, but the entire world is faced with formidable challenges, rapid technological disruption. It is far more severe than industrial revolutions we had. A paradigm shift is taking place every moment. It is difficult to keep pace. The global order on this count is becoming increasingly complex. Every facet of life is being affected. And it is therefore in the lap of universities, ably led on front foot by vice chancellors, to act as the stalwarts of India's academic landscape. More the challenges, more the formidability of challenges, we must rise as impregnable, not only to overcome them, but to deliver results for the nation and the world. One challenge which the vice chancellors must be facing is faculty. Faculty availability, faculty retention, and sometimes faculty attrition. I would appeal to all of you to engage in sharing with one another. Use technology. Don't be an island in yourselves. It is not a time to be standalone, because this challenge has to be fixed. We have no time. As I indicated, I emphasize, we are well past the era of standalone institutions. It can't be I am IIT, I am IIM, no. Standalone era for institutions is already behind us. There is now need of convergence for various verticals to give institutions cutting edge. Multidisciplinary approach across academic pursuits is the only answer. Share your faculty talent virtually, technologically, and otherwise also. That will have twofold purpose. while giving it, you will be receiving also. The winds of innovation and change must have free passage in educational institutions. Evolve a mechanism. There has to be tolerance for varying ideas. Intolerance to a thought defines democracy the wrong way. The nectar of university is that a solo voice that has an opinion different than that of the majority is heard with deference by engaging in dialogue and discourse, not by being judgmental. I appeal from this very important platform, industry, business, commerce, and corporates, they must channelize their CSR funds to handhold universities, liberally fund research and innovation. There is a great need for emergence of greenfield institutions because new areas have come up suddenly. Disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence, blockchain, machine learning, they require a different kind of mindset. Space, oceanography, new areas are emerging. Growth in those areas can be sustained only when you cater to these sectors, skilled minds, trained minds. The more fundamental question which we all are aware, and that is, we must go back to our cultural roots of education also. It is multidimensional. We should, and why we should not? Our institutions must reclaim the glory of the past. On this count, I would share some concerns. Universities, institutions of excellence, and higher learning must assume the role as spaces of free thought and fearless ideation. Ideation is very vital. A concept emerges out of ideation. Execution is not difficult. Ideation requires brainstorming, exchange of varied opinions. And the challenges we face today, climate change, artificial intelligence, sustainability, they require interdisciplinary thinking and also ethical reasoning. It is only in our universities that we can go back to our Vedic knowledge, our civilizational wealth, a gold mine when it comes to ethics, innovation. We must foster campuses where intellectual risk is encouraged. Risk is required. A failure is not a failure you must impart to your students. A failure is a myth. A failure is a stepping stone to success. We must believe in discovery, innovation, and encourage people to engage into that activity. In the rapid shifting global landscape, universities cannot afford to be passive observers. You have to be change makers. You have to catalyze the change you need. And the change you need is the change society needs. Our curriculum must be designed to prepare students, not just to respond to change, but to lead the change, to define the trajectory of change, to see the change which we need, not the change that overtakes us. Our administrative structures must be a guiding principle to others. That is an attention not given for too long. Education must be distanced just from giving credentials, degrees. No. It must be purposive. It must serve societal causes. And therefore, there must be partnership with all stakeholders, the government, the industry, the society, the NGOs. And it must be beyond transactional purpose. It must be guided by the soul spirit to serve the nation. This collaborative approach is long overdue. I am sure you will bestow attention on this. Distinguished Vice Chancellors, your leadership must enable faculty and students to act not as mere recipients of institutional policy, but as co-creating it, as co-creators for our needs, present and future. We must learn to promote high-impact, high-risk research that tackles real-world problems. We must incentivize collaborators between universities, industries, and partner internationally also. Fortunately, the present government has shown a lot of focus on this. But above all, we must reintegrate research with teaching. If we look at our ancient model, what happened earlier in our institutions of great eminence that attracted global attention, we must separate inquiry from instruction. We must return to integrated spirit. Today's Bharat is different. We never imagined we will be in this shape. Exponential economic upsurge, infrastructural phenomenal growth, technological penetration, global reputation, system of hope and possibility. When this is the landscape, we must find way for ambitions of our youth to be satisfied. Right now there is mechanism, and I wish it is disseminated extensively in a revolutionary manner, from startups to space technology, from health innovation to green energy, from blue economy to space economy. The opportunity basket for our youth is enlarging day by day. It is continually getting enlarged. But our youth continue to be in silos. They are not aware of these opportunities. And that is why we have mushroom growth of coaching classes. Every newspaper is having their advertisements. Please make our youth aware of the golden opportunities they have. Let me indicate one aspect. International Monetary Fund. And I know the shift that has taken place. In 1990, I was a union minister. And I knew the stance of IMF then. I know the stance of IMF now. IMF says India is a global destination of investment and opportunity. We need to tell our youth this accommodation, this validation is not for government jobs. It is for the opportunities that are in the basket of youth. We therefore need, distinguished Vice Chancellors, a paradigm shift from our youth job seeking to job creations. Now is the time for Bharat to create innovators and job givers. That transformation requires a Sarthi. Lord Krishna was Sarthi in Mahabharata. Our Vice Chancellors are Sarthis. They have to bring about, by neat navigation, into the mindset of our youth that avail the opportunities, benefit from the ecosystem of open possibility. You can realize your talent and potential, fructify your ambition and dreams, because government has affirmative policies. And for this, the Vice Chancellors are required to be proactive, and if I may say so, in absolute overdrive. It is concerning, and the government has done much to come out of it. The mindset continues to be influenced by colonial remnants. We must get out of it. Western narratives, distorted narratives, underplaying our achievements, diluting our achievements. We must neutralize them. Our universities must become guardians of our cultural pride. They must reflect our civilizational confidence. Imagine which country in the world can boast of such uniqueness, civilizational wealth. And India reminds the world every moment what is peace, what is inclusivity. India is a symbol of inclusivity that globally must be emulated. We must therefore create dedicated centers for our impressionable minds, for rigorous study of India's scientific, philosophical, and artistic contributions. For that decolonization drive to fructify, all those who are here and listening to this would need to lead. We cannot be in captivity of calibration from outside. We do not know how they calibrate, what agenda they have in calibration. They turn quite often Nelson's eye to the impeccable, sustainable growth trajectory of this country, which continually is getting on a high gradient. And to do this, the government has taken a great initiative. After 3 decades, taking into consideration inputs from the widest spectrum of stakeholders, there was evolution of national education policy. This policy aligns with our civilizational ethos. It encourages multidisciplinary learning. It gives primacy to Indian languages. It envisions education as development of the person, not just employability. The most significant aspect of national education policy is that it allows students to learn in their mother tongue. It has got us out of colonial regime. Even medicine, engineering in local languages could not be entertained at one point of time, even in our dreams. It is getting shape on the ground. Let me give you a simple illustration. Neither Bodhayan nor Pythagoras were thinking in English. Neither of them thought English. They thought in their own language. Yet they both arrived at this wonderful theorem in their own mother tongue. They must have dreamed of it in their own language. And we still continue to cling to this, contrary to our constitutional spirit. I don't want to go much into that, you can study. I have no doubt, and the Governor State of West Bengal, I was closely associated with the evolution of national education policy. It is game-changing. It is transformative. It is soothing to the students, hand-holding them, giving them latitude. But my problem is that those in academic institutions are not fully aware of this policy. I beseech you all, and the faculty and directors wherever they are, to please do a thorough study of national education policy to realize its real intent and purpose so that we reap the harvest of it. From this platform, I wish to indicate national education policy is not government policy. It is a policy for the nation. And therefore, I appeal, it is time for us all to adopt it, understand it, execute it, and to reap the fruits. I need to indicate one more aspect. Our languages, their richness and depth are our pride and legacy. This aspect amplifies the fullness and uniqueness of Bharat. Go to any country, you will not find what we have here. Our treasure is unfathomable. Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi, Bangla, and other languages are gold mine of literature and knowledge. These have national and global footprints. Educational institutions have to nurture with deep focus this treasure. And let me tell you what a pride for Tamil Nadu and the entire country. The Tamil has the distinction of being the first language to be accorded the prestige of being classical language. This well-deserved recognition was imparted in 2004, which means things started changing in regimes. Today there are 11 languages that are classical languages. And classical languages are those that have rich culture, knowledge, literature, depth. Let me just indicate the 11 languages because I had the occasion as Chairman Rajya Sabha to declare to Rajya Sabha that Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese and Bengali were recently given the status of classical languages. But earlier we had, as I said, Tamil, Sanskrit, Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, Odia. Go all over the world. We are matchless. We have to realize our power, our potential. We should not be carried away by insignificant aspects. I don't want to dilate much, because for me this is pure education aspect. Those present to me are as important those who are spread all over the country and getting to know about it by live broadcast of Sunset TV. But we have realized that if our students study in their own language, the mother tongue, the results are not arithmetic, they are geometrical. They blossom. And therefore, this focus has come from the government, must be disseminated. There is one more aspect where institutions need greater attention. Alumni engagement, alumni associations. I don't find them to be very active. On a number of platforms I have addressed this issue. If you look at the global scenario, alumni associations sustain the reputation of their alma mater. Alumni associations create a corpus which is in billions. One such institution has a corpus of more than 50 billion US dollars. Let us make a beginning. Let us generate spirit in every student who has been associated with the institution. Make fiscal contribution. Quantum thereof is not important. It generates a different kind of connect. Because you become stakeholders in your alma mater growth. And the structured, robust alumni engagement frameworks across universities can be game changer. Just imagine if we had confederation of alumni associations of IITs or IIMs or AIMS or universities. We will have such a think tank. We will have human resource reservoir that can help evolve policies. Why should we deprive ourselves of this? Take initiative. I'm sure all of you will start working on university, corpus culture, and alumni associations. When you have alumni associations and federation thereof, you automatically connect nationally and globally. Our inclusivity is reflected. I have taken enough time, but I would conclude. Respected Vice Chancellors, we stand at a momentous crossroad. Behind us lies a legacy of greatness and interruption. I say interruption because 1300 years ago we had Nalanda. It was blossoming. It was set on fire. Fire consumed precious books, continued for days. Ahead us is a path unwritten, but very promising, with huge potential. Can be game changer for the nation and the world. Nation is blossoming with hope and possibility, but it will be an ecosystem imparting for the entire globe if we take right steps now. Let us build institutions worthy of our civilizational past and having competency of meeting our present and future needs. And let us do it with wisdom and strength. Let us resolve to transform our universities into places of timeless knowledge and laboratories for timeless innovation. The intellectual revitalization is the highest category of renaissance. And that renaissance is awaiting Bharat. It is awaiting actions at your hand. Make Bharat super academic power, which would mean it will be a global research resource. It is not a dream. It is a destination, achievable, like Viksit Bharat. We will do it. If we could traverse our economy from fragile 5 to big 5 and now on way to big 3, nothing stops us from making Bharat Vishwaguru. Once again, I would like to impart a suggestion to Governor Ravi. Certain things must not be taken emotively. Those who could not make it must be having a situation. We must be understanding. We must appreciate everybody's presence. We must appreciate everybody's absence also. I am grateful for the patience you have shown. Thank you so much.
ராகம் டிவி யூடியூப் பக்கத்தை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள்.